Hello everyone and welcome to another installation guide for MechWarrior 2. This time we're going to be taking a look at an application specifically targeted towards the newer versions of Windows. Yeah, for once we're not actually doing something on XP. Ain't that a relief? This is way long overdue. We're going to be looking at MechVM. MechVM was created by Skyfaller over the past several years now, and this program, for lack of other words, is awesome. This will install almost any of the 30 plus different versions out there. That's why this has become almost indispensable over the past couple years. This includes MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, Ghost Bear's Legacy, MechWarrior 2 the original version. So that also will cover the Titanium, Battle Pack, 95, DOS, and some of the Direct 3D editions, if you're lucky. Of course, there are some caveats to this. The 95 versions are still iffy. Like with XP, it works if it wants to. For the longest time, I was actually not able to get the 95 versions running on Windows 7. I was actually shocked this morning when I installed MechVM again and tried to install MechWarrior 2. It actually worked without any trouble. There was a problem though with it, and the main problem was that the overweight bug was still there. So in order to get that to go away, you're going to have to include into this slugs patch. So keep that in mind if you intend to use the 95 versions. Also, if you're switching between the DOS and 95 versions, if you happen to have the NetMech edition, you're going to have to make sure to be careful with the controls because it seems to be very picky on the controls. If I do something in DOS, it's going to mess up the 95 version and vice versa. Also, with regards to the ATI Rage edition, yeah, you guys are still out of luck. I'm sorry, but that's to be expected because MechWarrior 2 ATI Rage requires to have the original ATI Rage hardware. And as far as that is concerned, on Windows 7, as far as I'm aware, there's not even any drivers for that. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, there isn't. Also, there is no emulator available for the ATI Rage edition. On a lighter note, though, MechVM is able to install the 3DFX edition. However, of course, there is another issue. You still have to do a few modifications in order to get it to run. If you're interested in that, there is a thread detailing how to do that. It'll work or not. Some people report that it works, some people report it doesn't. I got it to work, so I know for me it worked on the 64-bit version of Windows 7. So, hey, that's something. Now, before we actually get to looking at MechVM, we need to get a program called ImageBurn, which is free. This program allows us to create a q/bin file. The reason we need this file is so that when we get to the DOSBOX portion of MechVM, it requires us to have an image file on hand, unfortunately. The reason for this is because DOSBOX has a bug detecting the disk directly. I don't know why, but that is probably something to do with CD protection. I wouldn't be surprised. Either way, that's the only way you're going to do it. If you have a program already that does a q/image or a q/bin, you don't need ImageBurn, but grab something that does this. Anyway, with that said, let's go to MechVM and install it real quick, which is easy. You just extract it anywhere you want, open up the directory, and open mechvm.exe. You'll see here a play game, MechLab, view file, and install import. The MechLab right now is buggy and does not work as far as I can tell. I tried it earlier and I really wasn't very successful, so I think that's not finished yet. Now, view file, what that does is it allows you to open up the PRJ files that MechWarrior 2 has. This will allow you to export all of the PRJ file to disk, basically. It'll also allow you to overwrite portions of the PRJ. It will not, however, rebuild the PRJ file. You would have to have a file that's bigger or the same size in order to overwrite it, unfortunately. But hey, that's a minor detail. I might do future videos on PRJs and such for hacking into it if anyone's interested. I'm not sure yet, though. Either way, right now, what we want to do is go to install plus import, put your MechWarrior 2 disk in your drive at home, and press install. From this point, it's going to ask you for a CD image file. Again, as I said, it's for DOSBOX. You want to point it to the Q file. The reason for that is because the Q file contains the music. If you don't point it to the Q file, you're not going to get any music, and the game actually might not launch. I'm not 100% certain on that, though. But if it doesn't launch, make sure to do it on the Q. Also, as far as the install from CD image, that might not work. I've tried using it on the bin file, and it didn't seem to take it. It could possibly only work on ISO files, but I haven't really messed around with that. So, right now, we have installed already the DOS version and the 95 version. For this, since I'm recording, I can't use the DOS version because it'll launch into full screen, and I don't want to mess with that right now. But I can start up the 95 version right here. And as you can see, I'm already in the shell. It's working. And as I mentioned, there will be an overweight bug if you go and try to change the mech. But as I said, use Slug's patch and it'll solve the problem. Either way, that's mostly it. You can install Mercenaries or whatever you like from here. Now, it's always going to be on the Play Game tab. It will not install into your Start menu an entry for MechWarrior 2. You will have to launch through this unless, of course, you go into the directory Games and search for your specific version. It does have specific bat files that you have to launch into, otherwise you won't get to work. For instance, the 95 version is this bat file at the top. It also includes into it the far patcher, so if you want to change the distance viewing for MechWarrior, you can launch the far patcher and do some editing on that. It's very handy and may fix some glitches in the game. It does not come with any mechs, of course. This is just a standard installation. So pretty much that is it. And as always, if you need support for MechWarrior 2, check out the Mech 2 forums. And if most of the time we're helpful, sometimes not. It just depends on what subject you're asking, pretty much, and whether or not you have a legitimate copy. If you don't have a legitimate copy, don't expect support, please. So, anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in, and see you guys next video. Thanks.